Welcome back to the Daily Coach YouTube channel. Today, I have a great guest for you, a guy who's been a friend of mine for nearly 20 years. We started out both rookies in the business, about 18 years ago. Welcome to my show, Jonathan Thiessen. He's the Chief Development Officer of Home Franchise Concepts.
Thanks, Kim. So happy to be here.
I'm so happy to see your face. In all this quarantine, we haven't been able to get together, and it's so fun to see each other face to face.
Absolutely.
So JT and I started out in the business many, many years ago. We both were young. we had small children. Now our kids are like grown, but we are still young.
Yeah, absolutely. No question. One of us.
Anyway, the reason I wanted to have a conversation with you that I want to share with my viewers has to do with how your brands pivoted and really adapted during COVID, and really in many instances defied the logic. You know, there's a lot of belief out there that during the pandemic, there was no business that did well, and there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear, and is now the right time to even start a business. And so the Daily Coach is on a mission to bring the good news of franchising to the world. And that's why I asked you to come to my show today. So let's talk a little bit about Home Franchise Concepts, who you are, about your brands, and how, as an amazing franchisor, you adapted and overcame and even thrived during 2020.
Sure, I'd be happy to. And it is good news, Kim. I have to tell you, like, I don't know that there's ever been a better time, to be honest with you. And if you would have caught me saying that a year ago, I never would have. But it's been purely spectacular, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about it. So Home Franchise Concepts has 6 brands. We started off with just one 23 years ago. It was a little company called Budget Blinds that we had 5 guys that started it from scratch, and now we've built it up to the very largest window covering franchise in the world, quite frankly. And we've got about 1,300 franchisees in that brand. We have another brand called Taylor Living, which is sort of home organization, closets, garages, pantries, does that sort of thing. One of the leaders in that category. And we've got over 200 franchisees in that model now. We've got another company called Concrete Craft, which does decorative overlays on concrete and makes basically ugly concrete look new again, whether it's indoors or outdoors. And we just last week surpassed 100 franchisees with that brand. And we started a couple years ago with 5. So we're very proud of that. We have another brand called AdvantaClean, which does home sort of remediation. If you have floods and water damage and mold and all the things that can happen, they're there to help people out. And we've been very aggressively growing that brand as well with well over 200 franchisees. And then our latest acquisitions are a company called Kitchen Tune-Up and Bath Tune-Up, which basically help people remodel their kitchens without having to necessarily tear all the cabinets out, but make an old kitchen look new again. And very exciting business that's growing like crazy. And we've got well over 250 franchises with those brands as well. So very excited about that.
Wow. And so during the pandemic, did any of these brands have any like long-term closures or during a quarantine period?
No. We had a little bit, depending on where you lived, it was a little bit more regionally specific, and sometimes it was franchisee specific in terms of their comfort going out and meeting with customers. So most of our businesses involve the franchisees not sitting in a store waiting for people to come in necessarily, but they're service businesses. So they go out to where the homes and businesses are that need blinds or closets or concrete or kitchens or whatever that might be, and they consult with that homeowner or business owner there and then order the product, and then somebody goes in and installs whatever it is that we're doing for them. And so in some cases, some franchisees, maybe those that were a little bit more at risk, took a little bit of a pause to say, hey, I'm not sure if I'm comfortable going out and meeting with other people yet and that sort of thing. But it was a very minimal pause in that regard because of some things that we were able to do, which I can talk about, to sort of get people over the hump and get things moving.
What were some of those things, JT?
Well, I'm going to tell you. It's so exciting.
Yeah,
and I'll just take you through a little bit of the story, if you don't mind, in terms of what 2020 looked like for the company, and I'll answer that question along the way, if that's okay. But we sat down when this whole thing happened, and Scott, our CEO, said, listen, I don't want to lose a single franchisee that we could have saved, and I don't want to lose them because of COVID. Like, I just don't want that to be a reason. This is out of their control. It's nothing we could have planned for. It's nothing they could have planned for. And so we're going to do every single thing we can within our power to make sure that not only do they survive, but actually thrive coming out of this, because we knew it was just going to be a matter of time until we did. And so we did some things pretty immediately to help with the franchise base. And the first thing that we did is we grabbed somebody, we hired somebody to do nothing but help chart, monitor, solve for all the PPP and loan challenges and things that people had, so we could get that money into our franchisees' hands without them having to figure it all out themselves. And so we actually hired someone that was, I don't know what their title was, like chief of PPP or something like that. But that really helped. Yeah, there you go. That really helped the franchisees.
That was a very important job. We're just making fun.
It was that's for sure. But yeah, we were able to get a lot of that financing into our franchisees to help with cash flow during that time. So that's the first thing we did. The second thing we did is we froze royalties. We said, listen, we're not going to require that you're paying us if you're not able to go out and run your business. We can survive. We want to make sure you do. And so we just froze the fees that our franchisees were paying us as a result of it. The third thing that we did is we actually, and we didn't even tell the franchisees we were doing this, but part of our business model is that we actually collect what's called a rebate from our manufacturer. So depending on the volume of product that we manufacture, we get a small percentage of that back from those manufacturers for providing that business to them. We basically turned around and said, you know what, we're going to give all that money to the franchisees. And we didn't even tell them. We just stuck it in their bank account and then told them afterwards, like, hey, by the way, when you wake up this morning, between the group, there's going to be over $6 million put back into your bank account. And talk about getting goodwill and trust, and the franchisees felt like they were really taken care of in that regard. From a practical standpoint, the one thing that we did immediately is we said, okay, we've still got people calling left and right. If you can imagine, I don't know about you, but I was stuck at home for a long time. I'm not there now, but and when you're stuck at home, you start looking around going, well, there's a lot of projects and things that I wanted to do here, but I've always been too busy. I've been traveling, I've been working, and now that I'm here, I'm going to take care of all these things. Like, I need to replace these window coverings. I've always wanted to do something in the back patio now that we're spending all our time back there. I've always wanted to redo my closets. I've wanted to redo my kitchen, whatever that might be. And so we were actually getting more requests than ever before for these services. And we needed to figure out, how do we make sure that our franchisees are getting the opportunity to get this business without putting them in harm's way, because certainly their health and the safety of our franchisees and associates was very important to us. And so we developed a whole training module around what we call virtual consultations. And that would allow people to use things like Facebook or Zoom or Teams or whatever it might be to actually connect with a homeowner before they ever stuck foot in the house and see the project, and teaching the homeowner, how do you measure for this so that we can actually provide a quote. In some cases, they were sending samples out through the mail or even dropping them on the front doorstep so someone could go in and hold samples up to their window or their kitchen or whatever it might be. And we were closing deals without ever actually meeting the homeowners in person, which was amazing. And as a result of it, we just didn't see much of a slide in terms of business at all. It was like a 30-day sort of, wow, what's going on here, before we rallied around this program and continued on. We had one kitchen tune-up franchisee in Michigan that had her best month ever last April. She sold $250,000 worth of kitchen remodels without ever meeting a single one of those customers. And so being able to provide the technology and the support and the training to our franchisees to be able to quickly pivot to something that looked more like that allowed them to really continue to take advantage of the upswing and people looking to do things with their home.
It's so amazing. And this is why it's the good news, because so many people feel like the franchisor is the enemy, right? I mean, we feel those kind of questions and the tone and just like the fear that comes out of candidates, which some of it is very understandable because they don't know what we know. But that's why I'm endeavoring to interview and to have these kind of conversations to help people kind of lower their guard, not in all cases, but like in the world that Kim Daly gets to live in here at FranChoice with like the best of the best franchisors in the world in my inventory. people like this, Home Franchise Concepts, that have these amazing stories of adaptation and not just surviving, but thriving, having your best month ever during a
Right.
pandemic. Like, that's crazy, crazy good news. Congratulations to all of you. I mean,
Thank
it's
you.
unbelievable.
Well, I feel really blessed that our organization had the ability to do it, right? We've got a great ownership group in the JM family. And so we had the resources available to be able to do that, even though, certainly our bottom line probably took a hit for the year a little bit. That's okay because we're playing the long game with our franchisees. We're partners and we're creating mutually beneficial relationships with our franchisees. If they're going to be successful, we're going to be successful. And we don't have to take a short-term, quarter-by-quarter approach to it. We can take a long-term approach, which is really important to us.
That's so fantastic. So these adaptations, like never stepping foot in a house and being able to sell a kitchen, do you feel like this will forever change the way you do business, or was it just a momentary fix to the problem and you'll go back 100% to face-to-face consultations?
That's a great question. And what I'm already understanding is that some people have turned this into a permanent change in the way they do business. Now, it's not that they're not going to go out in person at all, but a lot of them are saying, listen, we got a lot accomplished on this first call. And sometimes I can eliminate people that maybe are tire kicking and aren't the right fit for me, as opposed to getting in the car and going out and spending the time and everything else. We can solve for a lot of that on this first call, which shortens up that second visit, eliminates a lot of second and third visits. And so a lot of people are saying, yes, this is the way we're going forward. And I have the same question even with our discovery days, which is when our candidates get to the end of the process and are usually coming out to meet us and seeing our facility and everything else. Well, we've had such amazing success as a franchisor. We awarded over 180 franchise units last year, despite the pandemic, and we did it all virtually. And people really actually like the fact that they don't have to get on a plane and come out and see us, and they can get that same experience. With some other things that we've added on. We're shipping out samples to candidates and things like that so they can touch and feel it. But it's changed the way we're going to do business across the board, I think.
So not only adapting, but figuring out a whole new way to do business. Again, it's so great. It's such great news. So since I'm the consultant and I am part of the prospecting plan for Home Franchise Concepts, right, and providing people, the one thing I noticed last year was that the total volume of people who were thinking about owning a business went down, but the people who were showing up were hardy. They were serious. Did you see that in your lead flow, like your overall candidates that were looking? Did it go way up because, for the same reason that your requests for your different brands went up, just because people were home and people were thinking about service, so they were thinking about owning a business? Or did you see what I saw, that kind of a total volume drop, but the caliber of the people who showed up were really, really good?
Yeah, well, the caliber of people was fantastic. I think what happened is a lot of people that have been sitting there, and this was in the back of their mind, but they had a good job and there was no reason to jump out of a perfectly good airplane yet. All of a sudden woke up one day and saying, oh, my 30-year career in the airline industry just absolutely disappeared overnight. And I don't want to go down that road again. I'm seasoned. I've got good experience. I've always wanted to do something for myself. Now's the time. Let's take advantage of it. And so we had a lot of those people that were coming to us. So the quality of the folks looking to become franchisees and join our family was fantastic. I think we had actually an uptick in the number of people that were looking at us. And I think part of it is because people were very comfortable with service-related franchises as opposed to going out and opening up 3 restaurants or something like that when they didn't know what's that going to look like, when's it going to come back. It was a little scary in that regard, whereas ours, they could see a way to getting to profitability and return on investment much quicker with the service-related business. So yeah, we were busier than I can remember ever being in this last year, which is pretty crazy. If you'd asked me that last March, I would have laughed. So
it's so great. And some of the happiest people that I have placed into business, JT, are some of the people that you and I, when we were rookies in the business, right, placed together into that Budget Blinds brand. We could probably bring up a couple of stories about some people that have just really, really changed their lives by owning a business, like Budget Blinds isn't really a business that most people go, oh yeah, I can't wait to go own a blinds franchise, and said
Right.
no one ever.
Right.
But then when people do it, I can attest to it. I have a couple people in mind who I know from start to finish, like building and selling or building and just continuing to build it, have really accomplished some unbelievable accomplishments professionally and financially for themselves through that brand.
Yeah, and it's the case for all of our brands, but certainly, the one Budget Blinds is the one you and I have the most history with. Obviously, it's been around the longest, but it's truly remarkable. We had an all-time record of franchisees in our $1 million club this year, despite the pandemic. Literally
$1
every
million
month
in blinds? What are you talking about?
in window coverings. I know we had over 200
so amazing.
franchisees that sold over $1 million in blinds last year. Can you believe that? It's a lot of blinds.
And that's with that low fixed cost. I love it. It's what makes me love that business so much.
Exactly. And we are literally setting records still every single month. Like the tailwinds of what this has done for us is truly amazing. We just had our first franchisee in our history have $1 million month last month in window coverings, if you can imagine that. So yeah, it's been good and it's continued to really thrive. But yeah, and I appreciate all the people that you've certainly awarded or helped us award franchise to over the years. The success stories, we could go on for an hour and a half. I don't think we have that much time, but it's some great people and that are really finding amazing success. Not only and success is defined differently by different people, right? It's lifestyle, it's building something, it's community involvement. Certainly there's an income portion of that, but it's really feeling fulfilled and finding purpose in what they do every day and understanding that their hard work will translate into the results for them, which is what you get if you put yourself into the business and follow the plan.
Yeah, it's so great. Just a couple of days ago, I recorded a conversation like this with one of our placements, Miss Julie in Philadelphia. And she was sharing her story about how during COVID, she basically launched her business in December of 2019. So she had her whole first year during 2020. And she came from an accounting background. She was so worried about selling anything. Remember working with her? She was so worried about it. And at the 1-year anniversary mark, she bought her second territory. And then she was telling me that in her second or third month of that second territory, she had like an $80,000 month. I was like, oh my gosh, Julie, it's like, these are the stories that get me out of bed every day. This is why I do what I do. This is the value that a consultant can bring to the process for a candidate. Because many people who are thinking about owning a business, they're not going to think of a business like Budget Blinds or Tailored Living or Concrete Craft. Like, what is that, But when you come to a consultant and we can set up your expectations and we can really look at your quality of life goals and the skill sets that you want to be using to drive a business that you feel comfortable with, then that's when these kind of opportunities, like we take the focus off of the widget and we focus more on the characteristics of the business, low fixed costs, basically start your business from home, low total investment, quick cash flow, big margins, big national company with national branding. Not to mention, we haven't talked about anything that you've done on, TV with your brands, right? You've done some amazing things. So all the things that your back end engine can offer to a first-time business owner, it's like overwhelming if they think about how much support they can actually get. But just for a second, JT, talk a little bit about the value that you see as the franchisor in what a Kim Daly or FranChoice or good consultants do in helping you find the best of the best people for these brands that people aren't rolling out of bed saying, oh yeah, I want to own a Budget Blinds.
Right. No, that's a great question. And yes, so many of our great franchisees today, when they came into us, even from a consultant, they were like, wow, Budget Blinds or Concrete Craft was last on the list because I was kind of like, what? But they said, the consultant said, trust me. They said, we've done our research on each other. I know this is a good fit because of my experience. Trust me and have a phone call with them. And today, those people would be like, thank goodness I did because I've built this great business as a result of that. And that's really the power of what you guys do, the research that you put in, the vetting, the understanding directly from the source, like from me, what makes a good franchisee and what we're looking for and what we're not. Because ideally, it's got to be a good fit all the way around, and we want people to be successful. We're not just trying to sell franchises, and you want the same thing, right? And so it's is making sure that you've got people that have the right end goal in mind all the way around, and that you're able to help focus on them, because there's so much noise out there. There's a lot of really shiny toys of new things that are super sexy, but they may not, they may not last. And so you need to know that there's more behind it. Like, just as a quick example, we announced at our convention, this was last February, mind you, that we were going to hire 40 new support people in our organization last year. Regional support people, people that could go into the franchisees' offices, work with them, from everything from marketing to operations and everything else. So it was a big initiative. And then we came back from that, and of course COVID hit like 3 weeks later. And meanwhile, other companies are laying everybody off and furloughing and everything else. And we're like, wow, what are we going to do about this plan? And the answer was, you know what, it was the right thing to do a month ago. It's still the right thing to do. We need more support than ever for our franchisees. And so while other people were kind of like I said, letting go of some folks or putting things on hold, we moved forward, and we hired 40 new support people in 2020 to help grow our franchise base. And those are the things that, as a consultant, you know that, and you're able to say, hey, listen, this is a company that's got your back, and this is a franchise organization that will help you get there as long as you're willing to run alongside them. And that's really important.
Yeah, and that's why you use a consultant, correct? I mean, anybody can go out and find a widget that they like, but you have no relationship with the people. And that's what Kim Daly is bringing. 20 years of experience with Jonathan himself and with Home Franchise Concepts. I mean, they're not just my business partners. They're like my college friends, for goodness sakes, right? It feels like we've been friends forever. And so, I'm leveraging those relationships to my candidates, and the ideas, again, that, you can come from an accounting background and a year later own 2 territories in a business that a year ago you knew nothing about and would never even have considered being the right opportunity for you. So, yes. JT, I really appreciate your time. I appreciate your honesty and sharing this inspiring story just about how you not only survived, but absolutely thrived and help your franchisees to thrive. I know that this conversation is really going to inspire people. Again, my goal at the Daily Coach is to share the good news of what's happening in franchising. I think you've added a lot of good news to that story today.
Oh, thanks, Kim. And you are always such a great support person for our organization. And we owe a lot of the success that we have to you and the people that you put in. I really appreciate that over the years.
Thank you so much. To anybody who's listening, if you want more information on any of the brands at Home Franchise Concepts, please leave a comment below or reach directly out to the Daily Coach. Thanks so much. Until next time, we'll see you later.
See you, Kim. Thanks.
Bye.